Hello once again, grade 9 students. This is version 3 of our discussion on variations. So the objective, we have here some the objectives for this lesson. Write an equation expressing direct variation. Find the constant of variation and solve direct variation problems. Number 3, solve inverse variation problems. Number 4, solve joint variation problems. And number 5, solve combined variation problems. Objective 1, write an equation expressing direct variation. So, review direct variation. We have here the expression or the statement y bar is direct less x if there exists a real number k such that y equals kx. Y is said to be proportional to x. The number k is called the constant of variation. In direct variation, for k is greater than 0, as the value of x increases, the value of y also increases. Similarly, as x decreases, y decreases. Yeah. Okay, we've already discussed this part last time. Now, find the constant of variation and solve direct variation problems. Okay. If 7 kg of steak costs $45.50, how much will 1 kg of steak cost? Yan. So, let's see. Represent the cost of p kilograms of steak. C bar is directly as p. Right? Because as the kilogram increases, the cost will also increase, right? So direct variation yan. So therefore the equation is C equals Kp, right? Now to solve for the constant of variation, we just divide the cost by the p kilograms. So 45.50 divided by 7. 45.50 divided by 7. That will be the constant of variation. Constant of variation 6.50. Then therefore the equation of variation is C equals 6.50p. Yun. So C equals 6.50p. Okay. So it says here that 1 kilogram of steak costs $650 and C and P are related by C equals 6.50p. Now, another direct variation problem. It costs $52 to use 800 kilowatt hours of electricity. How much will 650 kilowatt hours cost? Okay, direct variation again to. So it says here. So let's see, represent the cost of using H kilowatt hours using C equals KH with C equals 52 and H equals 800 to find K. So our equation of variation is C equals KH, right? C bar is directly as the kilowatt hours. Cost bar is directly as the kilowatt hours of electricity. So to solve for K, just divide C by H. 52 divided by 800. 52 divided by 800 is 13 over 200 in lowest terms. This is our constant of variation. So therefore the equation is substitute in C equals KH. C equals 13 over 200H. Let H equals 650. Find C. So ano ba yan sa problem? Yes, how much will 650 kilowatt hours cost? So if H is 650, we can now substitute here in the equation. This is actually the equation of variation. C equals 13 over 200H. Yan, substitute H by 650, then solve for C, which is equivalent to 42.25. 13 times 650 divided by 200 is 42.5. So thus 650 kilowatt hours costs $42.25. Find the constant of variation and solve direct variation problem. So in solving a variation problem, step 1, write the variation equation. Then substitute the initial values and solve for K. Then write step 3, rewrite the variation equation with the value of K from step 2. And substitute the remaining values, solve for the unknown, and find the required answer. Right. Direct variation as a power. Y directly as the n power of x if there exists a real number k such that y equals kx raised to n. Okay, this time it is still a direct variation problem. This time it involves exponents, square or cube, whatever. Now suppose y bar is directly as the cube of x and y equals 24, and when x equals 2, find y when x equals 4. So what will be our equation when this is direct variation? Y equals kx cube, right? Y equals kx cube. Yun, y equals kx cube will be our equation. Then let us now solve for k when y is 24 and x equals 2. Substitute. Here, 24 equals k 2 cube. 2 cube is 8. 2 times 2 times 2 times 2, 8. Then 24 divided by 8 is what? 3. So therefore the constant of variation is 3. Now you can we can now substitute k equals 3 here in the equation. Y equals 3x cube is our equation of variation. Now there is another question. Find y when x equals 4. So we can now substitute x equals 4 here to solve for y. Okay, y equals 3 times 4 cube. 4 cube is 4 times 4, 16 times 4, 64 times 3, 192. Okay, y is 192 when x is equals 4 in the given variation problem. Next, objective 3, let us learn now also how to solve inverse variation problems. So we'll know that inverse variation, y bar is inversely x if there exists a real number k such that y equals k over x. This will be our formula for inverse. Also, y bar is inversely as the nth power of x if there exists a real number k such that y equals k over x raised to n. With inverse variation, where k is greater than 0, as one variable increases, the other variable decreases. Okay, let us try to solve this inverse variation problem. The current in a simple electrical circuit varies inversely as the resistance. If the current is 80 amps, when the resistance is 10 ohms, find the current if the resistance is 16 ohms. First, let us write the equation. C equals K over R. These are the given variables. C represents the current, R the resistance. It says here that C bar is inversely as R, so our equation is C equals K over R, or some constant K. Now to solve for K, we just multiply 80 by 10. Current and the resistance. 80 times 10 is 800. 800 is the constant of variation, and therefore the equation of variation is C equals 800 R. 800 over R. We substituted K here by 800, so C equals 800 over R. Right. So from here we can now solve for the question here. Find the current if the resistance is 16 ohms. So substitute R by 16. Then divide 800 divided by 16 equals 50. That is now the current, 50. So the current is 50 amperes. Right? Okay, next. Suppose P bar is inversely as the cube of Q and P equals 100 when Q equals 3. Find P given that Q equals 5. So pag inverse variation, P equals K over Q to the third power, Q cube will be our equation. Yan. Then to solve for K, we just multiply 100 by the cube of 3. 87 times 100 is 2,700. That will be our value of K, 2,700, right? 100 times 27 is 2,700. Substitute P by 100, Q by 3. So yun. So therefore the equation is P equals 2,700 over Q cube. Now find P given that Q is 5. So substitute Q by 5. 5 cube is 125. So 2,700 divided by 125 is 108 over 5. Ito na yung answer for example, classroom example 5. Solve joint variation problems. Joint variation, y bar is jointly as x and z. If there exists a real number k such that y equals k x z. So pag joint, it involves two or more variables. So sa inverse and joint, sa inverse and the direct, it just involves y and x. So dito, meron tayong third variable z. Note that and in the expression y bar is directly as x and z translate as the product y equals x k x z. The word and does not indicate addition here. Yes, it says here that y varies jointly as x and z. That means we do not add x and z, but we multiply product of x and z. Solving a joint variation problem. If x varies jointly as y and z squared, and x is equal to 231 when y equals 3 and z equals 2, find x when y equals 5 and z equals 4. So what will be our equation pag jointly? X equals k y z squared. Yun. Para ring direct variation to, pero kaya lang mayroong nadagdagan ng variation. I mean the variable. Now let us solve for k. Substitute x by 231, y by 3, and z by 2. Yun here. So divide na yung 231 by 3 times 4 is 12. 231 divided by 12, that will be k. 77 over 4. This is our constant of variation. Substitute here in the equation of variation. X equals 77 over 4 yz squared. Now the question is, find x when y equals 5 and z equals 4. Ang hinahanap natin is x. So here, substitute y by 5 and z by 4. Yun. 77 over 4 times 5 times 4 squared is equivalent to 77 times 20, 1,540 is the answer. For example, classroom 6. Okay? Objective 5, solve combined variation problems. So, combined variation is just a combination of inverse and direct and even joint. So, combination na yan. Suppose z varies jointly as x and y squared and inverse less w. Also z equals 3h when x equals 2, y is 3, w is 12. Find z when x equals 4 and y equals 1 and w equals 6. So our equation will be z equals kx y squared all over w. Yun. Kx y squared all over w. Now to solve for k, substitute z by 3h, x by 2, y by 3, w by 12. Ayan. So we can now solve for k here. 3h equals k times 3 halves, which is equal to 1/4. Yes, cross multiply. Yeah. Well, 6 over 24, 1/4. Yes, 1/4 is the constant of variation. Therefore, the equation is yon, z equals 1/4 xy squared over w. Ano yung question? Find z when x equals 4, y equals 1, and w equals 6. So substitute y by 1, w by 6, and x by 4. So 4 times 1 divided by 24, 1/4. I'm sorry. 4 times 1 is 4 over 24, 1 over 6. Yes, 1 over 6. Tama. That's the answer. So that ends our topic on variation. This is version number 3. Goodbye and see you.